right, I call this meeting to order. 2:03, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2:04. All right. Approval of tonight's agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Second.
I have a motion by Monica, seconded by Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 3:01, approval modification of the minutes from the December 4th Governing Board meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th Governing Board meeting. Second.
Motion by Monica, seconded by Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 3:02, approval modification of the minutes from the December 4th executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 4th executive session meeting as recommended. Second.
Motion by Monica, seconded by Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to 401, the consent agenda. I do believe we need to pull one of these.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda and remove item 4.09 for separate consideration and discussion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Monica, seconded by Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 409, do I have a motion separately for this item?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Tempe School approval of Tempe School Elementary Schools, that's written differently, sorry, to enter into an affiliation agreement with Arizona State University.
Second.
Motion by Charlotte, seconded by Allison. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I'm going to recuse myself from the vote.
4 to 1 not voting, that motion carries. And as part of the overall consent agenda, I wanted to thank Molina Healthcare, Chase or Chauncey, AZ Lions Club Vision, New Clothes Equal New Beginnings, and Tempe Diablos for their donations. 501, Celebrate Excellence. Dr. Driscoll.
Good to go. All right. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight I have a few items to celebrate. Tempe Elementary has recently partnered with Gateway Community College to create a pathway for employees to go through an apprenticeship program to earn their International Journeyman's License in electrical or HVAC field. This partnership program is the first of its kind in Arizona. Our employees will earn half an associate's degree and have access to all the benefits of a full-time Tempe Elementary employee, including our hourly rate of pay. Our aim is that this partnership will create an innovative way to develop employees while also providing adequate staffing for our schools. The Digital Innovation Team hosted the district's first ever esports tournament last week at Sanchez District Office. The inaugural tournament welcomed 20 students from Connolly Middle School and Mosley Middle School to compete in a 3-versus-3 Rocket League matches. Congratulations to our 3 champions, Angelo Pellegrino, Braden Fort, and Santis Gonzalez at Mosley. Sorry about that. A special thank you to Mosley eSport teacher Carrie Durazo, Darren Gonzalez, and our IT and innovative learning teams for their hard work in launching this exciting tournament. Thank you to the Spread D-Love organization for hosting our students for their annual Cookies with Santa event this evening. At the event, the organization will surprise students and families with 100 custom-built bikes and food boxes to take home. Each student will also be fitted for a helmet provided by the Phoenix Children's Hospital. Thank you to our partners who include State Farm, Concord, Core, and McCarthy for joining us at Bustos on Monday to help assemble all of these bikes for our students. This is an incredible event that makes the holiday season just a bit more brighter for our students. We're having a delay in the clicker. And with that, that concludes my Celebrate Excellence for this evening.
I'll just add on to the Celebrate Excellence to thank the members of Connolly who for their performance during the reception we had before the meeting started tonight. It was really very excellent, so I'll recognize and thank them for their efforts. 601, recognition of members of the Yes to Tempe Kids Committee. Dr. Driscoll.
Thank you. This year, we passed the 2024 Tempe Elementary MNO and DAA overrides. This is a huge accomplishment for our district, and it was made possible thanks to the help of one incredible individual. On behalf of Tempe Elementary School District, I would like to express my sincerest thank you to Hannah, who helped lead our Yes for Tempe Kids Pack this year. Hannah, your ability to organize and rally people together and work behind the scenes, including walking neighborhoods, working booths at local community events, and speaking to community members, made a tremendous impact. Thank you for your dedication and for helping set up Tempe Elementary for a bright future ahead. Please join me in celebrating Hannah once again for her work this year, and thank you. We're on 602.
602?
Yep.
All right, moving on to 602. And did you want to go first before we had our speakers come up?
I can go first because
All right.
some of the speakers in this audience, I don't want to go after
That's fair.
in public events, so I'll go first. Ms. Monica Trejo has been dedicated to serving the students and staff and community here at Tempe Elementary for the past 8 years. And tonight, I'm proud to be celebrating her legacy with all of you. Ms. Trejo was sworn in as Tempe Elementary Governing Board member on January 4th, 2017. In 2019, she served as vice president, and in 2020, she served as president of the board. I believe that president was the one who hired me here in Tempe. In her time serving on the governing board, Ms. Trejo has guided our district through both challenges and celebrations. She has been instrumental in the conversations and decisions on a variety of issues, including, but not limited to, COVID and the renaming of 3 of our schools. Ms. Trejo has approved and participated in 8 school rebuilds, groundbreakings, and ribbon-cutting events in her time serving on our board. She has diligently worked to expand educational options for all our students and recruitment and retention opportunities for our staff. She has discussed and approved the implementation of Tempe's elementary strategic plan, which has set the course for our future ahead for our district. She has made countless decisions and approvals that were always in the best interest of our students and staff, particularly in the areas of equity and safety. From the policies she has approved to the budget and fiscal decisions she has been a part of, she has made a significant impact in our community. Ms. Monica Trejo, on behalf of Tempe Elementary School District, I would like to personally thank you for your ongoing dedication to Tempe Elementary. Your commitment to excellence has inspired everyone around you. I would like to present you with this small token of appreciation and a big thank you.
All right, we do have 8 blue cards for this item. And because these are public comments, we do have a video to get to set the stage for what the rules are for public comments. So,
Persons wishing to address the board must fill out the request to address the board card and submit it to the board's executive coordinator prior to the start of the board meeting. Per Governing Board Policy BEDH, Public Participation at Board Meetings, the Governing Board President shall set a time limit on the length of the comment period. For items on the agenda, individuals will be called upon when the item is introduced. For topics not on the agenda, citizens will be called upon during this portion of the meeting under Open Call to the Public. In compliance with the open meeting law, the governing board will neither discuss nor take action on items raised during this portion of the agenda. When necessary, issues will be taken under advisement and placed on a subsequent agenda. During the open call to the public, issues addressed must be within the jurisdiction of the board.
All right. First up, shocking, we have a Michael Trejo up.
All right, Dr. Driscoll, President Miller, members of the board. This has been to a lot of meetings. First time I get to speak up here. Kind of gotten used to me. I'm almost part of the furniture. I wanted to start today by recognizing who we have in the audience today. So I may not get everybody, but I took some notes. We have the mayor of this wonderful city, Corey Woods, is here. We were briefly visited by Tempe City Council member and Tempe Union High School District member Burdetta Hodge and her son Jevin. We've got, we're going to do a lot of clapping. So we've got Representative Mariana Sandoval. We've got Elena Aguilar, who's on the Central Arizona Water Conservation Board. We've got new school board member Ray Theory. Former Superintendent Chris Bush is here. Still here, or she was here? Yep. Mariana and Eric were here, or Eric was here. Mariana's here. Hannah and Eric are here as well. Several of Monica's friends, Paige and Alex and Bianca and Giovanna. We have her father, Ray, and his wife, Maria, her brother, Chacho, and his girlfriend, Ray Lynn. We've got my own mother, my mom, Kathy, and her partner, Carlos. We've got Allison's husband and son, Trent and Brody, who are here. We've got some of Monica's colleagues from the Arizona Board of Regents. So we have Xavier Leal is here, and Megan was here for a little while. And we've got other members of the community. I'm sorry if I left you out. So this is a big group. We can clap for them now. And I'm really glad it's a big group because I've been coming to a lot of these meetings, and I think if more people paid attention to school board meetings like this, they would really come to appreciate local government. You've got a staff that is motivated, that likes to be here, that works really hard, a superintendent who has a vision and the ability to carry out that vision, and a board who is collegial, is competent, is smart, works together really well. If more parts of our government work this way as well as you guys do, I think we'd all be much happier. And to be honest, I don't really care how much money I make in my career. If we have kids, I hope they go to Tempe Elementary School District because this is a wonderful district. Just to say a quick note about Monica, I've got a lot of friends that talk about service. It's quite another thing to actually do public service. It's not just the burden of time, it's the burden of knowledge, knowing there's something more you could have done. It's the burden of accountability, being sometimes blamed even if it's not your fault, and knowing that you carry around that responsibility. And it's the burden of care. I know that Monica wakes up every day thinking about the students who get educated here, the teachers who are working hard, the staff who are working hard, the parents who want a good education for their kids. And while she's stepping off the board, she kind of relieves the burden of time and relieves the burden of accountability. But I'll tell you, that burden of care she's always going to have. It's just the way she is. She serves not for the power. She serves because it's like a picture frame on the wall that's just a little bit off. She has to do something about it because that's who she is. That's her heart. So 8 years is a long time. It's a lot of work, and I'm really proud of you. You did a wonderful job. So thank you.
Thank you, and an excellent job getting under 3 minutes. That was really... All right. Next up, Hannah.
Hello. My name is Hannah Moulton-Balek. I live in Tempe, and my kids attend Tempe Elementary Schools. I'm here today to celebrate the service of Monica Trejo, and I'd like to share a few messages from some of the thousands of students, don't look at me like that, whose educational opportunities were possible because of your service. This one says, thank you, Monica Trejo. Thank you for all the things you've done for kids like me to have a great place to learn every day. You volunteered even though you didn't get paid, just to help schools improve. You helped many kids have a good education by helping schools stay all right. Thank you for being part of our school team. That's from a 5th grader at Broadmoor. This one says thank you. Thank you for all your hard work to make the school a better place. You have helped the school and didn't even care what you got for it. You work very hard and still help the district. We'll miss you, but you will do good things wherever you go. That's from a 5th grader. This one says, thank you, Monica. It says, dear Monica, thank you for helping our schools. Your help is appreciated. Yay, we love you, Monica. I love PE. That's from a 3rd grader. This one is actually from my daughter. Thank you, Monica. Thank you for making school a better place. Thank you for making PACE possible. This one says, thank you for your service. Dear Monica Trejo, thank you for all the work you've done to make our school a better place. You're so good for taking time to make my school better. We'll miss you, but we wish you your next journey. We wish you well on your next journey. It says Barbie, Ken, and Alan. Barbie fan. This one says, to Monica Trejo, you are amazing. I hope you have an amazing life ahead of you. Thank you for making me feel safe at school. You are the best. That's from a 5th grader. And I know I'm running out of time. This one says, thank you for making school a better place. We won't forget your kindness. We'll always remember how much you cared about us and our education. Your decisions have made a big difference to my school life, and I am grateful. And we'll miss you. Okay. I cannot say it better than the kids who attend TD3 schools, but I do want to add something from a parent's perspective. I don't like to think about what things were like during COVID, how stressful and scary that time was for everyone. This governing board had impossibly difficult choices to make when it came to keeping students safe, but learning. At the time, the 4 people in my family had to report to 3 different campuses for our jobs in school. When I worried about when Broadmoor would open and whether my kids would be safe when I had to send them in person, it brought me immense and immeasurable comfort to know that someone I trusted as much as Monica was on the governing board, deciding the parameters under which we could open. In your term, you faced historic scenarios, and you helped guide us through it. We are so grateful for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, it's an excellent first name.
There are 3 of us here at one point, because Eric
I know.
Chalmers is here. Hi, I'm Eric Bullock. I also live in Tempe with 2 kids at Broadmoor Elementary School. And I'm going to pick up where my wife left off before I get into some more cards. And start with something I remember very vividly during COVID. Monica, I don't know if you remember this, but when everything was shut down, stress levels were through the roof, temperatures were running so high, and there was something that we were freaking out about. I don't even remember what, something to do with opening or closing, and Hannah and I were talking about what we were going to do about it, and her stress level was up to here, mine was up to here, and Hannah just told me, just reach out to Monica. And I was like, how? And she was like, figure it out. And the only way I can get in touch with you was through Instagram. And so whatever my question was, I sent you a direct message on Instagram, and I was just thinking, there is no way you're gonna have time for this. There's so much going on. We're all so stressed out. We have so many plates spinning and fires to put out. And I wish I remembered more about what the actual question was, but what I remember so vividly was how quickly you responded, how calm you were, how collected you were, how reassuring the interaction was, and I was just flooded with a sense of how lucky we were and are to have you in this position, and that you are just a testament to what it takes to be a great public service when problems are there and they are hard and there are no easy answers, to be able to step in with clarity and calm to reassure a parent who is losing his hair over something. And so we're so grateful for the leadership you provided in that period and the leadership that continued through more calm time since COVID has wound down. I do have more cards. This is from a 5th grader. Thank you for your kindness and willingness to help our school and district. Your service has certainly helped schools have better teachers and learning opportunities. Our school and class appreciates you and your kind choices. We respect your decision to step down and appreciate the time you have been there to help. And there's a green guy with balloons. Thank you, Monica Trejo. Never give up. Thank you, Monica. You've made our school a better place, and we won't forget your hard work. It's amazing how much time and effort you put into our school. You've also inspired us to work harder. I love music. Thank you for caring about my school. Thank you for helping our schools. Your help is very appreciated. P.S. I love reading Percy Jackson. That's from a 3rd grader. And one more, your help is appreciated by me and my classmates. P.S. Merry Christmas. I liked computers. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
We have Mariana Pena.
Woo! Hi everyone, Mariana Peña. I'm a resident of Phoenix, but former resident of Tempe, and I am here to just express my appreciation to you, Monica, for all the work that you have done. I will do my best to keep this quick because I know there's a lot of love in this room to share around, but I think that really speaks to the person that you are, the way that you are able to bring people together and how you're able to inspire everyone. I know that you have been an incredible mentor to youth, myself included. I know that I am here today because you have pushed me to become a better person, because you see potential in people, in systems, and in each individual, and you push them to be a better person. And people really do care about you. One of my favorite photos of us is a photo from an election night party that we won. And in the photo, I'm reaching out to you, tears strewn down my face, but reaching out to you because I know how much you believed in me, believed in other people there, and how much you inspired us. And I know myself as a product of public schools, I know that the investment that people made when I was just a young child has paid off in dividends now. And so I know that there are many people here today to celebrate you, but I hope that you know that there are people who will be coming up in the next decade or two that will have better lives because of the work that you have done here. So I would just want to thank you for your work. No espero lo que sigue para ti, pero te agradezco muchísimo y gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. I know we're all looking forward to what next steps are there for you, but you have left some big shoes to fill, but I know this board will be able to take what you've done and be able to take it even further and really be able to make the lives of all those kids really make it better. So thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you. Raymond Trejo.
Well, I didn't have a speech, but I did want to come up here and say a few words. I'm the proud dad. Very proud, Mija, of all your accomplishments, and I just see the world in front of you, and I heard the people in front of me talking about inspiration, and you did inspire me when I retired to go give back. So I want you to know that it's been humbling and fulfilling at the same time and rewarding, so I get what being an educator is. So proud of all your degrees in ASU and Columbia, and when you got elected here, and now you're stepping down. Just want to know that Dad's always with you. I love you lots.
Thank you. Yelena.
Superintendent Driscoll, President Miller, and board members. I'm honored to be here today. I met Monica 8 years ago when we both got elected to the school board. And we were on a trip to DC and we bonded on our trauma. We're both from Tucson, from Southside Tucson, and we never imagined that we would ever be here. We never imagined that our lives would ever lead us to the places that we are at, and never imagined that we would ever be elected to anything. And I am so proud that not only did I get elected, but I have been in your life for 8 years. And I've learned so much from you. And I know it should be the opposite because I'm just a little bit older than you, but I will say that it has been an honor to be your friend, to be your maid of honor, to be your confidant, to be all of the different people and individuals I have to be in order to entertain you, because you are so smart and you're so brilliant and you require so much, in a good way, like require so much intellectual stimulation. And I love that about you. I love that you're the most humble person, but also the smartest person I know. That you are the kindest person, but you can also be, you know, the opposite. And I didn't marry you, so he has to deal with you, but I'm so grateful that I know you and that, you know, we cross paths because, you know, in this life we get to cross paths with so many people, and especially in politics. But I do believe that this room is filled with people who love you because you genuinely care deeply, not only about your community, but others and everyone and animals and weenie dogs, and those are the things that we bond about. But I do think that it is definitely a privilege to know you, and I know that this is just the beginning to this amazing life that you're going to continue to experience because you deserve it, and you've worked so hard for everything, from your elections to all of your academic successes. And I'm just extremely honored that I get to be part of your life and that we will continue on this journey together. No matter where it may lead you, we will always be together on this journey. And I'm so grateful for you and so grateful that I inherited a great brother as well, and his family too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Brody.
Okay. I just have a short speech. Hi, President Miller, Dr. Driscoll, and the board. My name is Brody, and I am a Tempe Elementary student. I'm here to say thank you to Mrs. Trejo. You did so well as a school board member. You carried us along the way. You got us through hard times. I know this is your last day. I wanted to congratulate you for being the best school board member that there will ever be.
Thank you. I certainly wouldn't want to be the person having to follow that. Last one up, we have this is tough to read, Corey Woods.
No, but I really don't want to follow all of those people. My goodness. Well, Dr. Driscoll, President Miller, members of the governing board, and of course, Monica. I just wanted to say, first of all, as like a lot of people in this room, I completely held it together until your father came up, and now I'm trying to wipe tears away from my face to come wish you well. I can tell you right now, one of the things that I hear all the time as mayor of this great city, and the number one thing I hear from businesses that are talking about locating in this community or talking about expanding their existing operations and hiring more people, is they ask about the quality of our schools. And I can tell you right now, even as mayor, not having any direct oversight of our schools, I recognize we have 3 exceptional school districts, very much including the Tempe Elementary School District, and the work that each of you do, which a lot of people note that you do for free each and every day because you care about the young people in this community and you care about creating a brighter future for them. And Monica, I have seen you day in, day out do such exceptional work on behalf of youth. This morning, Monica and I actually had a chance to spend some time together as she was getting me more involved in other youth issues and trying to do things not just in Tempe, but frankly across the state. Because even as she's exiting the Tempe Elementary School District Governing Board, she's still talking about what can we do to improve youth outcomes across the state of Arizona and frankly, from my perspective, across the country. She has done such a wonderful job and will leave such a lasting legacy of service in this city. Frankly, Monica, your legacy is not just about the work that you've done with TD3. It really has been felt by everyone that you've interacted with during the 8 years you've been here. And I know you're going to continue to leave an incredibly positive legacy upon everyone that you happen to touch. I can tell you right now, without you and a couple of people in this audience right now, I would not have had the opportunity to do what I've been doing. If it weren't for Monica Trejo, if it weren't for people like Hannah Moulton-Bilek and Mariana Pena, I would not have had the opportunity to serve this great city because there are very few people, many times when the chips are down, who actually really believe in you. And she has been one of those people who's been a rock in my life ever since that first moment I sat down with you in Snooze and had breakfast and talked to you about what I wanted to do. You are just an absolutely incredibly fiercely intelligent, loyal, just tremendous human being. And I just frankly can't say any more about you than other people and all of those kids and all of those cards said. You're a phenomenal human being. You're going to continue to do great work. I am proud to call you my friend. I am proud to call you one of the greatest public servants that I have ever met in my entire life. So even though I know that this is the end of your Tempe Elementary service, I know this is only the beginning for all of the great things you're going to continue to do. So thank you for being my friend and thank you for your community service. You are an exceptional human being and I'm so glad everyone's here tonight to celebrate you. Thank you.
Charlotte?
I get to go first, that's rare. I want to add to what has been said already. I was thinking a lot lately about when you and I first met. I know I did not enter the world of politics in a normal way. I just kind of was like, oh, I'm going to do this, and okay, I'm doing it. And I immediately identified that you and I are really polar opposites. We have different backgrounds. We look very different from each other. You're really great at mingling, and you know me, I stay in the corner and find one person that will talk to me. And I remember thinking, how is she connected to so many people? I've lived here my entire life, and I don't know a third of who you know. And it didn't take me long to realize you don't have to do much for people to want to be around you. You are truly a magnet. And to use the word somebody used earlier, a connector. And I remember you handing me a book, a little yellow book about the rules of how we should govern. And I was, as a social studies teacher, very honored to receive that. And I remember thinking, she's not even the president and she's doing the mentoring here. And you've done that all along. And we've had plenty of conversations on the phone and in your home about what we needed to do for our kids. And I just was blown away from the very beginning and continue to be in awe of your deep love for not only children, but the educators who are there every single day working their rear ends off to make sure those kids have what they need. And you know, there's not a lot of people who balance those two things. Often it's pretty weighted heavily on one side or the other. And you're one of the few people who sees that it doesn't have to be this conflict. It's a mutual symbiotic relationship that has to exist. And I am so grateful and honored to be part of your mentoring crew. And, you know, we've talked a few times about how we're both in denial about this happening, and I'm totally okay to petition whomever I need to keep you here. And Michael, I'm really gonna miss Michael. our loyal audience member. And I think he got the entire all the women in the room swooning over his comments to you. But thank you for your fight for kids. Thank you for your fight for teachers and staff in general. Thank you for helping us stay safe and just being really wise about the process we took through that really horrible time as board members. And thank you for always being a friend.
Mr. President, yeah, put the Kleenex over on this side. I told Monica several weeks ago, I said, there'll be a lot of tears. And she said, no, don't cry. You know, and I thought, well, that's okay. I'm glad her dad was here. My job as a school board member is to work with the other members. And when Monica first came on the board, I was on the board, and we sat next to each other, just like we're doing tonight. And she's amazing. The questions she asks, the work she does, the people that she knows, and she walks the talk. And a lot of us talk a lot, but she actually does it all the time. And I remember when she invited me to go to an event, Sky Song, and there were a whole bunch of kids there, and she was introducing me to all these kids, and because she's a teacher, and she was teaching me how to work with these high school kids. And I thought, you know, I taught at the college and university level, but kids, you know, K-8, K-12, she knows how to do it from that standpoint. And I was just so grateful to work with her. And 4 years ago, when she said, please run again, I debated, and she twisted my arm because I wanted to serve with her again. And we've done some remarkable things. And I'm just so pleased to have had the opportunity to work with Monica. I was very pleased when she and Mike needed some rocks for their yard. I'm a geologist, I collect rocks. And and the wiener dogs, and you know, the whole thing. And it's just amazing. And I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity. I'm pleased to be on the board with Monica tonight and the folks in the room, and it's just really special. And I don't know what else I can say other than this has truly been one of the best boards that I've worked on for a long time. And it's because Monica makes it sensible. She makes it warm. She makes it personable. She makes it about the kids, not about the adults, but she also makes the adults be adults with each other. And a lot of school boards don't have that, but we do. And it's because of school board members, particularly like Monica, that makes the difference. And so I'm so glad and I'm so blessed that not only did she work with our school board, but she was president of the Arizona School Board Association. President of the Arizona School Board Association. She came up through the ranks and directed that, made a huge difference. And I'm just so grateful for that. And she's always introduced me to a lot of people. And I was just, you know, as geologists, we talk to rocks all the time, not people. But she talks to people, and she makes sure that we're cared for and focused on what we do for the kids, and that's what's important. So thank you. You can always come visit us. You guys still live in Tempe? So thank you.
Oh my. They all know when I pause, it's probably a sign I'm gonna cry, so I'm crying. But I'm crying like such happy tears right now. I'm looking at this group of people up here. We value each other so much. And we have this like commitment and relationship to each other that just the fact that you're leaving, it could change. And I'm grateful that you gave us the foundation and the etiquette to know how to do this. And, you know, I met you running for the first time, and you became my mentor within 30 seconds of talking to you. And there's so many times where I say, what would Monica do? And then a lot of times you say, I'd read this book, or I'd do this thing, or here's this, or have you thought about this? And you not only took care of our community and our children, but you shined a light on the entire state, all of our children. And they were so lucky to have benefited from what you were able to give, the knowledge that you bring, the forcefulness that you have, and the credibility you have for fighting for equity for all kids. Your stories and what you've been through prove to everyone that you can still always serve your community and be better. And your forgiveness of people, that's a big deal. We've seen a lot of things in this. But you and I have run together. We've kept each other safe. There's times where we got to switch cars, or we got to find, you know, Michael, I'm going to miss our fan club. May I have a Kleenex? Thank you. You don't know how amazing it is to have someone who's in the room who really wants us to be our best and who wants us to win. And it started in COVID because you wanted to keep us safe. You were in here and Trent was in the parking lot. And basically you guys just cared about us. And then you became like part of the system. And I think you are more qualified than I am to be on the school board at this point. So I'm gonna miss that a lot. But what I'm so excited about is because we follow the rules, this board follows the rules, we haven't been able to establish relationships at the level that we want to. And so now people say, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do without Monica? Now what I'm afraid of is I'm gonna get more of the calls where the usual call is, have you thought about this? And I usually say, no, or how do you feel about this? I don't know. And then I spend the next 48 hours figuring out everything that I need to know about that subject and make sure that I do a full report to Monica about how I feel about it and what we should do. Now that comes and it's very strategic because we have to be very careful about how much we communicate. Now she's gonna be able to call me every day. So all I know is that my job is gonna be like at a whole other level of having to like do complete studying and theses and come back to you about what I think. But I'm grateful because you've made me a better person. You've made me think more. And there's times where I need your input, and I'm grateful for it because we come from different perspectives and we come from moments, and you and I are able to bounce that off of each other, and it's so valuable. If you can meet one person in your lifetime that gives you that, I know there's people who never meet someone that can really push them and say, okay, well, you weren't thinking about it today, but you are tonight. And I'm just grateful for your service. I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful for this board. And we really, really, really will miss you. And I can't tell you enough how proud I am to be your friend and to have served with you. Thank you.
I'm going to be the last one going up here, but it's certainly the least. And so I'm going to keep it brief. I'm going to echo some of the similar sentiments that my fellow board members have said. Similar to Charlotte, I decided to join this board without discussing it with anybody else. And so I just showed up one day, and here I was. And part of my old job, I used to watch board meetings throughout the valley. All 58 school districts, I used to watch them, see what was going on there. And so when I came here, one of the things I was curious of was what the people were going to be like once I was here. And one of the things I was truly shocked by was the level of competency and care that the folks up here had, and that has led an shining example by Monica. one of the first things she did was just hand me a book about the rules of being on this board. And then the length of my tenure here, I've just been getting books from Monica about different subjects regarding boardsmanship. And I've always really appreciated having that in my house, but also in my life. And I thank you for everything you've ever done for me. It has truly been an honor. Monica, do you want to say something?
There's so much to say, but I'll be brief because I know don't be here all night. So yeah, I'm eternally grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for all of your kind words. They mean so much to me that you are here today. I don't think there's no words. I have no words that I can express my gratitude. I had a speech prepared and put off writing it for forever. So I'll try to hit the clip notes here. But I've been in denial, and today is the night, so I'm just really grateful for all of you guys. And I don't want to get emotional, but yeah, today's the day. I'm incredibly proud to have served on this best school board in Arizona, and no, I am not being biased. After 8 years of serving on the Tempe Elementary School Board, I am so honored to have served all these amazing board members that we talked about. You know, just if you ever watch other school board meetings, you will know what we're talking about, and how lucky we are, because this is not normal. Unfortunately, it should be normal, but it isn't. Just the level of respect we have for each other. We don't always agree, and keep that in mind. Just because we respect each other doesn't mean we have to agree with each other. We can disagree in a respectful way and have dialogue. We come from different backgrounds, different ideologies, different parties, different everything, right? Different upbringings. But that is all left aside, because when we come together here today, we do what we can and put kids first, and our school districts first, and our community first. And that's what I love about Tempe Elementary, because we do that. It's okay that we're all different, and I wish that the rest of, outside of this community of Tempe could do the same. I think a government would be a lot more efficient. And when I say efficiency, gotta thank our CFO, Eric, here, and the one before him. And, we win awards for our excellence in accounting. Our budget is excellent because of our excellent staff, and we're fortunate to do that. So we're not just here, saying nice things about each other. We actually have proof to show that we are being good stewards of our tax dollars and running schools efficiently and effectively. But I can go on and on about how amazing our school district is. And of course, our superintendents, whether it was Christine Bush, my first superintendent here, who was here earlier today, so lucky to have her, and the honor of COVID years, hiring a president in the middle of a pandemic, had that honor of doing that, and thankfully we got very lucky. I'm just thankful for you, Dr. Driscoll. You took our ideas and you turned them into reality. We had so many ideas, and if you ever work with a group of people, you know how hard it is to make action happen out of that, and he has managed to do that and continues to do that, and that's something that we are so lucky to have here. You're truly an innovative leader, and we're doing a lot of things here because of our staff and Dr. Driscoll's leadership that no one else is doing in this country. So we're not just leaders here in Tempe, we're leaders here in across the state and the country. I just can't express my gratitude enough for our staff. Dave, Mike, Brittany, and Eric, everybody, Darren, who's here every meeting, our IT staff who makes these things run. I can go on and on about how incredible our staff has been, and just so fortunate to have one of the best staffs, I think. Very highly efficient, capable, caring staff that no questions asked, just do more than they're asked. I'm just very lucky you made our job easy. You make our job easy, right? And I said that earlier to someone, and I mean that, because I also know how hard it is for other districts. And just want to acknowledge, my friends and family are here today as well. mother-in-law and my stepmom and Carlos and my dad and everybody, and of course my husband, who has been to every board meeting, and my brother, everybody. Brody, thank you. You've been here multiple times holding us accountable, and I appreciate that. So I can go on about everybody. I unfortunately not as articulate. I just want you to know. Well, I'll just leave with this. Corey, Mariana, Hannah, everyone making Tempe, Paige, our former TD3 teacher represented here. You know, you guys kept me going too as a rock when things are hard, and we are a great school district because we are in a great city that continues to invest, right? Tempe, the city of Tempe invests in our school district. This is not common. Not every city or town invests in their school district. You actually invest and you care about kids. And we are very fortunate to be here. We can do what we can do because of that relationship that we have. And so, you know, I only know it's going to continue to get better as we continue to push forward with our new initiatives and our new schools that we're looking forward to here with our workforce and our childcare and our gifted education. So you'll hear more about that. I'm just so fortunate. I don't want to forget anybody, but just thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And I will forever and always, for the rest of my life, be an advocate for Tempe Elementary School District. So thank you.
And with all that, we still have a meeting to get through. I'd say we could take a 5-minute recess just to get ourselves together here. I don't think we need to take a vote, do we, for that? No, I'm just declaring it. 5-minute recess.
Hi, Ben. Can you hear us? Hey, Ben. Okay,
Thank you for hanging in there with us.
we got you. Life is good.
All righty. I'm going to declare that we're back. 6:03 presentation. Yeah, just declare it. I don't know.
It's like Michael Scott. I declare.
Exactly. We all caught the reference. All right. 6:03 presentation facilities management for learners audit results. We have representatives from Experience Management Institute, I believe. Or is Mr. McGinney doing
We do. I was going to say, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, what better way to follow up all the joy and words of appreciation than a facilities audit presentation? So you are welcome. We have our amazing partners, our consultants from Experience Management Institute that are here virtually that are going to present the findings from our facilities audit. I want to preface this is an audit that Dr. Driscoll approved, that we asked for to look for our efficiencies in our systems and our processes, as well as human capital. So I'm going to turn it over to Experience Management Institute.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. McGeady and Dr. Driscoll. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Gentlemen, I wore my blue in honor of you gentlemen. I know how passionate you are about the college football season that wrapped up. And Dr. Driscoll, I think if I saw you working the audience there appropriately enough, I appreciate that you wore your scarlet and gray for me. Thank you very much, sir. I want you to know that my son and I will be at the game on Saturday night, and it's supposed to be 19 degrees at kickoff, so I'm sure you'll be jealous. Distinguished members of the board, thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you this evening. I also want to share our gratitude. While we could not hear the speakers that were coming up to the podium, we certainly recognize that outgoing board member, Ms. Trejo, must have been receiving a lot of love, because we can certainly see the animation, the excitement, and the kindness. So thank you, ma'am, and congratulations to you. Thank you very much for all of your service to your community and to the district. My name is Steve Fuji. I'm calling in from the great state of Ohio. I'm joined this evening by Ms. Teresa DeLong from the state of Texas and Mr. Michael Katz, Esquire, from the state of Oklahoma. We're going to talk a little bit about us, share with you our audit overview, a few findings and recommendations for you, as well as stay on and be able to answer or address any questions that you might have for us. I believe you have this presentation in your board packet, so please don't worry about stopping us anywhere along the way. The tech department did a great job to make sure that your speakers or your microphones fed directly into the speaker. So hopefully this is a really seamless process. First up, quickly in this 10-minute presentation, a little bit about us. We're from Experience Management Institute. We are a woman-owned social enterprise. We have a lot of experience, particularly in the areas of organizational strategy, as well as compensation design, human capital management, and process improvement. I think it's through those credentials that we were honored to be able to be asked to come in and help provide some insights about your FMFL department. In addition to that, EXMI is quite proud of several of our certifications. From the state of Ohio, the Department of Development, we've been identified as an economically disadvantaged small business enterprise, as well as a veteran-friendly business enterprise. From the U.S. Small Business Administration, we are a self-certified small business HR consulting service. We're also really proud to have started our B Corp certification process. And here recently, we've been counted in the United Nations Climate Change Champions Race to Zero campaign as a carbon neutral organization. A little bit more about us. We believe that our approach matches very closely with what we've seen on the ground there in Tempe Elementary School District. We think that these ideas are aligned, and obviously we all stand committed to our ideas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But more than that, we're proud that we've been able to partner with you on this is our second project, and you'll also see other organizations in and around Arizona, as well as organizations from coast to coast in our great country. With that, I want to turn it over to talk a little bit more about the audit overview itself, and for that, I'll turn it over to my friend and colleague, Mr. Michael Katz, Esquire. Michael?
Thanks, Steve. As Steve mentioned, this is actually our second project with you all. It's been great working with you all, coming back a second time. We began this scope of work in August, September of this year, just a few months ago. We reviewed some preliminary data that was sent over, some documentation, processes, org chart, org structure, things of that nature. We then came out to the district and conducted some on-site interviews and focus groups. So that was in early October. We then took everything we learned, brought it back, conducted a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then spent some time developing our recommendations to go with those findings. We put together an impact effort matrix as part of that. And if you all are unfamiliar with that, my colleague Teresa here in just a minute will go into more detail on that. And then we prepared our final report and provided it to you all. And so this is really just going over some of those specifics again. So that first bullet are a lot of the documentation and other documents and key items that we reviewed as part of this process. We did some research into industry best practices and incorporated those into our findings and recommendations as well. And then, as I mentioned, we came out on site, spoke with a number of folks. And Steve, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a list of all of the positions at the district that we spoke with. So as you can see, really our goal with the facilities audit was to talk to everybody within the facilities department, as well as a number of customers and other folks within the district who interacted with members of the facilities department on a regular basis. And so I think we were lucky enough to really talk to almost everybody who touched any part of the facilities department and its processes. And so that gave us a great insight into what they were doing on a daily basis and how we could begin to recommend potential opportunities for improvement.
A special note of thanks here to Mr. Mangini and the administrative assistant, Mrs. Ramirez, for that. Like, just so efficient and so lovely to work with in terms of organizing all of this and getting the right customers and stakeholders in the room. Thank you to them.
And so very quickly, we wanted to make sure that you all were aware. So this was really a proactive approach by the district to start looking at opportunities for improvement. It wasn't in response to any sort of corrective action or anything else. We didn't focus at all on individual employee performance or any individual employees. It was really, as Mr. Mangini mentioned, a review of organizational functions, structures, processes, and opportunities that we could look at and say, hey, we might be able to help make some of these things work more efficiently than they currently are. And with that, I will pass it over to Teresa to go ahead and talk about our findings and recommendations.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here and share what we saw. So I want to start with just a quick overview of those kind of big findings that we saw along the way. The intent here is obviously to put them into buckets that we can break down into smaller actionable pieces, which we see on the next slide, but really starting to focus on the work order process as a whole. What does it look like? How does that work? It has some limited accountability and some undefined expectations. So the internal folks maybe know how long it's going to take them to do something, but it's not communicated to the stakeholders. So some of those kind of communications breakdowns. Overarching goals for the department and performance standards. So what are those expectations? Again, trying to get back to standardizing those and making them very clear so everyone's working towards that same end goal for the benefit of students. So really bringing that student focus kind of back to. The third one there, a lot of paper-based processes. So a lot of key functions are going on. Where can we transition those to an electronic format or a more streamlined format and get rid of the duplication of work by using paper multiple times? Focusing then on the fourth one with those preventive maintenance processes and supplies inventories and how do we keep them efficient and effective so that we're not fixing things when it's too late and we're kind of keeping stuff maintained going forward, as well as having supplies on hand and not having to run out and find parts to fix something after it's already broken, adding to additional delays. So how do we streamline that whole process? And then recruiting, hiring, and retention challenges. As everywhere, recruiting and hiring are a challenge across the board in all positions, but especially in these areas. So what are some things that we want to think about to how to mitigate those going forward? And then getting into the recommendations. So this is kind of where are we going to go, that roadmap piece. So really getting into that process improvement, approval, prioritization, and tracking of work orders. How are we doing that? Can we make that better? Can we better leverage the electronic system we have? Identifying those key performance indicators that we want to track our performance to and establishing baseline data. And really using industry standards to help us establish those so we can track how we're doing against the industry as well. Fully embracing that CMA system, that system we're using for work orders, and eliminating the paper, allowing people in the field to enter data real time so people can track the status of their work orders, those types of things. Digging into the procurement process, making sure that's clear for everybody, both on the finance side and the facility side. So really streamlining that and making sure everybody's working on the same page, make that as efficient as possible. Clarifying expectations and responsibilities of internal employees and external vendors. So where we're bringing in folks externally to help, how are we clarifying so everyone knows what their roles are and what those expectations are. Getting into clear written standards for departmental goals and performance so everybody's working towards that same level of service and those same end goals. And aligning those responsibilities in the org structure to enhance functionality and stakeholder response. So really making sure we're working towards helping our stakeholders as efficiently as possible. There's a few more on the next slide. We will continue. Make sure that the stuff that we have purchased and those materials are utilized as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So how can we streamline pieces to deliver stuff to sites more effectively, or once stuff comes in, how do we get installed more efficiently? So looking at some of those pieces and parts. Defining the process for when do we need to bring in a third party to help finish the work, or when can we do that work in-house? So we have a clear workflow for when those decisions get made. For big future capital projects, making sure that we plan those out. Not only we got them in and we got the purchase, but do we plan for the installation or the usage of those as well, so that we don't have a lag in that piece on the back end. Develop that plan for ongoing preventative maintenance inspections and work. What is that? What does it look like? And how do we standardize that so everybody knows what's expected? There is that leadership change that's coming end of the year. So really establishing new leadership for the department, being thoughtful and mindful in the hiring process, and really ensuring that they can move forward in the most positive way. Thinking about conducting a compensation study to look at both internal equity and the market analysis. Salaries could be a concern if hiring continues to be a problem. So really digging in and having real data that's current for the market today. Where are we and what do we want to do from a decision-making standpoint there? And then work in partnership with the HR department on the hiring process and really developing an employee value proposition to help recruit people and retain them in those FML roles once we get them in. Once we took all of these recommendations, we then put them together in an impact effort matrix, which Michael mentioned previously. And this is really a way to kind of visually see, where do we start? We're trying to evaluate, like, where's the biggest bang for our buck. On the left-hand side, you can see the impact. So lower impact to higher impact. Across the bottom, you have effort, less effort to more effort. And it gives you those quick wins in that top left column, which are the things that are big impact and easy to do. Some of those fill-in kind of things there have to be done, but they, don't give a ton of impact. They're that back-end pieces, those thankless tasks, which are a bunch of effort, don't have giant impact, but they have to get done from a compliance standpoint or those types of things. And then those major projects, they're going to have a great impact, but they also take a large amount of effort. So we took all of the recommendations and plotted them there. And then on the next slide, you can kind of see where we recommended from a starting standpoint. Obviously, you want to start with new leadership for the department, really digging into defining the mission, vision, and goals for the department that are aligned to the districts, and identifying those KPIs. Build that culture of accountability and support, so making sure that people have the tools and the things they need to do their jobs well, and understand what those timelines and expectations are for stakeholders, and then get into the process improvement pieces. So those would be kind of the places to start out at the gate. As the facilities department digs into this, they want to, implement things. Obviously, we're going to monitor for progress. Are they working in the right direction? Are they not? And then make adjustments going forward. Obviously, we've partnered with the district for a couple of years now and are here to help support the FMLL department and the district as they work through these efforts going forward. And we would be happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot in a very short period of time as well, so we're happy to entertain any questions if you have them.
As we think about addressing some questions, we, by the guidance of Mr. Mangini and Dr. Driscoll, really wanted to focus on some of those actionable items. Obviously, we came across so many strengths of your great district in terms of all of the folks that work there, their passion, their desire to engage, their desire to make sure that they're making appropriate adjustments for student learning. It was a really gratifying process, and this proactive effort is just an opportunity for us to kind of continue to enhance the great things that are going on and just make them greater. Hearing no questions, I'm not sure really if there's a signal for us to exit stage left. I don't know if somebody's going to grab a big hook and kind of rip us off the stage, but certainly don't want to.
Thank you, Steve. Stephen, there's no questions from the board, so I'll just share that we'll continue working with our partner here as we move on into the next steps in our audit process. So thank you.
Well, again, we thank you for this opportunity. Wish you all a very happy holidays, all the blessings in the world, and we look forward to continued relationship. Be well. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Goodbye.
That's fun. Yes. Thank you for that. We are going to then move on to 701. Discussion, consideration, and possible approval of an agreement with Parent Square for two-way communication. Dr. Driscoll, do you think you can give us kind of an overview of what this is and why we're looking at it today?
Yeah, so I'll have Brittany come up and
Brittany.
share with you.
Very fun.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Driscoll. Before you kind of discussed and made a motion on this item, I kind of want to give you some background information of how we got to this and this proposal for you guys this evening. So in regards to two-way communication, what I'm talking about is like the back and forth dialogue between district employees and parents. So I'll dive a little bit more into that and what this looks like. But this conversation is aligned to our strategic plans, specifically Goal 4 and 4.2, just ensuring our district systems are effective and implemented with fidelity. It also, this conversation is aligned to Governing Board Policy GBEF, which is staff use of digital communications and electronic devices, which states specifically that district employees shall only use district-controlled and approved technologies when communicating with our students or parents. Currently, we do have about 4 platforms that I'm aware of that our schools use. They are Remind, ClassDojo, Talking Points, and School Status. I have several reasons of why I really think the district needs to choose one platform district-wide. Those reasons are, one, district does not have access to any of these platforms, which can be concerning for multiple reasons. One, my communication team does not have access for crisis communication to send out any communication on these platforms because we don't have access. Two, I don't have access for records requests, which is of concern to me. Anytime we do have records requests related to these platforms, I have to reach out to those teachers individually, to principals if they have access. So I think to be in compliance with all of those things and our board policy, we really need to choose one platform district-wide. I've also heard from parents over the years, because of the multitude of applications used at all of our schools, they're downloading multiple apps, and that can be frustrating. And we have multiple apps being used in one school. That's very common in our district right now, and I really want to eliminate that for our parents as well. So, two-way communication needs. I reached out to our school leaders and our comms team and kind of asked them, what do you need in a platform to effectively communicate to your parents? And these were all of the bullet points that I received from all of those stakeholders. If I counted correctly, there's about 19. So we have a lot of needs, but I do think we can find a platform that can meet all of these needs and do all of the requirements that we need of it, mainly communication. So you'll see we really need to be able to text, email, phone call families. I heard from a lot of people that they don't want families to have to download an application in order for us to communicate to them. They want to be able to do school-wide communication, classroom communication, one-on-one communication. So I think we can find something that can meet all of these needs. This is a comparison chart that I kind of drafted to kind of give you a visual of what I did after we spoke with all of these vendors. I did look at more vendors than these vendors, but these were the ones that really are what our schools are using, with the exception of Remind. So you will see I have ClassDojo, I have School Status, I have Parent Square and Talking Points. The reason why you see Parent Square and not Remind is because Parent Square bought out Remind, and I don't know what the future of Remind is going to look like. Right now, Parent Square said that they're not going to touch Remind, but I just don't know how long that's going to last, so I'd rather go with a parent company versus something that may not be available in our future. So if you look at the comparison chart, you will see that Parent Square met all of the needs that we heard from our school leaders and from the district communication staff. I will say, I added that little sentence on the bottom because these vendors are constantly changing. I've been in conversation with them for over a year, and even their capabilities today is very different than what it looked like a month ago. So this could look different in a couple weeks, I don't know, but to my knowledge, on my conversations with these vendors, this is their capabilities. And I do think Parent Square can best meet the needs of the district at this time. Some other positives to Parent Square and its capabilities, it does have social media integration. So if there is a school-wide post that could be good for the community to know about, they can with one click send it to their social media platforms. There is a payment option through the application that I don't see a need at this time, but it could be an option that we add in the future if we need to for whatever reason. And I would, work with our CFO, Mr. Thompson, to see if that's something that could be reliable. It does do automatic attendance communication, which right now we have a platform that does that work for us. I call it Blackboard. That is our current mass comms notification platform. That's what I use to notify all of our families in the case of a crisis. This could potentially eliminate that platform altogether because I can text, email, call, and do application alerts through this platform. And that could save the district some dollars potentially with the elimination of that. We don't need to do lunch notifications right now, but if in the future that becomes our reality again, this could potentially assist with that, as well as ADA compliance, which is something that we're very aware of and want to make sure that we are doing. Another really good positive is Tempe Union High School District is implementing Parent Square. So if we were to proceed with this after a pilot, which you'll hear about in a moment, all of our parents that have children in Tempe Elementary and that have children also in the Tempe Union High School District will have one platform, all kids pre-K to 12. And so I think that's a really good benefit to our families that have kids in multiple districts. If you are cool with it, I have a quick 3.5-minute video to kind of show you what this is about, because I'm a visual learner, you might be a visual learner. So 3.5-minute video. This video will show you more of what it's like as a district user, not necessarily as the parent user, because I want you to see the capabilities. Okay, one sec.
Thanks for visiting Parent Square. Our goal is to help you streamline your communication and parent engagement efforts across your schools. Parent Square unifies communication for all stakeholders and is 100% parent-centric. That means that everyone is using the same platform, including teachers, principals, staff, admin, even the superintendent. Here, we're logged in as a principal at Lincoln Elementary School. As an admin in Parent Square, I know exactly what's going on at my school and have full access and insight into all school-to-home communication. I can also send out messages to the entire school, or I can send to specific grade levels, classrooms, or groups. We integrate and sync on a nightly basis with your student information system to ensure accurate reach at all times and minimal effort for all users to get started. There are 3 main ways to communicate in Parent Square: alerts and notifications, posts, and private chats. Let's start by sending out an emergency alert from the app. Traditional one-way alerts and emergency notifications deliver as phone calls, emails, text, or app notifications. You can also send alerts from the web portal. The second way to communicate in Parent Square is via a post. Sending posts are for day-to-day communication, used by teachers for their classroom communication and administrators for school, or district-wide communication. A teacher has access to send messages to their classroom, grade level, and select groups only, and roles can be restricted even further. Posts include plenty of different features such as photos and files, links, and item requests. If you're sharing an event, you can quickly add it to your event calendar, which syncs with your existing calendars. You can also request RSVPs, ask for a few volunteers, or even set up online payments. You can also send forms electronically through Parent Square. Paper permission slips often end up lost at the bottom of students' backpacks. Ensure your important forms are delivered directly to parents by adding a digital form with optional electronic signature to your post. You can also send out newsletters with our newsletter template option. We build everything in-house, so the look and feel will remain the same, whether you use one or all of our add-ons. A post will reach parents via email, text, or app notification, depending on their preference. The third main way to communicate in Parent Square is via private chats, one-to-one or one-to-many. Parents can also initiate these private chats if they want to reach their child's teacher, and all communication is done via the private portal or app. Now that everyone at your school or district is using the same communication platform, we can gather statistics for you and help measure not only reach and delivery, but also parent engagement and usage. Also, admins can assign different roles with restricted access, so you know with confidence that your staff are communicating with the right group, class, and grade level at all times. A district account will have super user access available to communicate district-wide alerts and announcements, as well as insight and access to all site communication, including private chats. As you can see, there's no need to go outside of Parent Square for any of your communication and parent engagement needs. All features are available at Lincoln Elementary, but you can start with as few or as many of our features as you'd like, since we offer 3 different packages. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Parent Square. I look forward to discussing how we can help engage your school community.
That was super exciting. So pending your approval for this agreement, I have Monica Allred here. She's our Director of Communications. She'll really spearhead the pilot. Shall you approve this? We did speak to principals last week about this so that they knew that I was coming here tonight to tell you about this. There were definitely some people in the room that were cheering for this. They're excited for it. They want it. But our team, if you approve, we would get onboarded and trained with Parent Square in January. Once we get back from winter break, we can start a pilot program for up to 3 schools. I've heard from 2 currently that are willing to participate in that. One's in elementary and one's in middle school. So I feel like even if we just have the 2, that'll be enough for us to learn about the program. We have full intentions to get feedback from parents, from teachers, from staff that are using it during the pilot program to kind of see what's working, what's not working. Is this a good fit for TD3? And then pending that the pilot goes well, I'll give an update to all of you in June if you would like. I'd be happy to do that. And if we agree this works for us, then we can do full district implementation for the 25-26 school year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Allison.
Thank you, Mr. President. So my first question was, did we get teachers buy-in and information? But I see that you ask a comprehensive list of questions, and we're going to do a pilot. This isn't necessarily adopted. One of the reasons that I asked that is because we're doing a lot of new things here, and to continue to add new things for them to have to learn. Yes. I mean, I can't even stand it when my Wells Fargo page, they move where I do a deposit or something. So this will be a pilot. It's not yet fully adopted if we approve this today.
100%,
and
yes.
We want to have teachers, parents, and principals all on board and give us the feedback of that, right?
Yeah, and that will be part of the pilot, 100%. And we are very conscious of change. I will say, though, my school feedback thus far, they're yearning for this.
Okay.
They are.
So my second one is, I love the idea that it's universal, because as a parent and a school board member, sometimes I have to say, oh my gosh, what platform are you on? Where did you get that information? What is that? And now it will be able to encompass that. And as school board members, one direct feed with the same consistent communication would be fantastic.
Yes.
What do we do if a family does not have a cell phone or internet service?
I mean, we can still, I'm sure you can download the app and still utilize it, even though you don't have internet service. I can double check with those capabilities, but we can still email them and call them, and they can still get communication that way. You don't have to add the app in order to get that. It is also web-based, so people can go on and I think get into their account on a web-based program as well.
So do we have, I don't know how much Dr. Driscoll this affects our families, but do we have families that don't have a computer at home with email still, or because we are giving those families who need it the internet connection, most of our families get communication that way? It might not necessarily be on their cell phone, but I just want to make sure that there's not even a 1% or 2% of people who, because we're going, this is more electronic and fancy, is somebody missing out on communication, and how can this help?
What I would say is, with families that don't have access to phone, internet, or that, we still can give them the paper copies. And so that's always will be an option. It's a very small, I would say probably less than 1% that have that, but we still, if a parent says, I do not have access to phone, computer, internet, we would give them a paper copy of everything that's going out.
Okay, thank you. How long do they keep the information, just in case we need to research anything or something arises?
I know it's at least 7 years, because that's what I need by law, so I know it will be at least 7 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the attendance system. Okay, so one of the complaints that I hear often, and not just in my home, is that when our current system is used, if somebody has to go to the dentist at 2:15, they are counted absent for the entire day. And if you're a child who wants to have perfect attendance, it's devastating. Will this, like, one, is this a second program, and will we be paying for two? Will we be able to save money in making one? And is this system a little more friendly to the, like, from what I understand, in the front desk, there's only so many buttons that you can push, and then you're in this pile or you're in this pile. But in schools, we know there's lots of piles to the piles.
So with attendance, I hope I answer your question right. We have it automatically set up with our student information system, which Cindy Dutton and her team kind of oversees. So we connect the two systems, and it just talks to each other and tells them to notify families if they are late or absent, and their email reminders. This is separate than the other work that Cindy is doing too in regards to attendance and all of that work. But I know it's automatically done with our student information system. What time it sends out, I honestly can't recall at this time, but they are email reminders to families when students are absent and if they're frequently absent.
And the last thing is, how fiscally responsible is this system? And will we be spending more, spending less?
I think there is the potential to be saving money, because right now schools are spending their allotted title funds for the current platforms that they're using if they have a school-wide platform. Some don't, and teachers have their own, and it's free, and the principal doesn't have access to that information either, and that's not okay. But schools, they're spending thousands of dollars on platforms. We as a district, our mass comm system, we're spending about $36,000. Right now, this is quoted at about 45. We could also potentially eliminate, possibly, I'm gonna find out a little bit more with the pilot, but it does have a secure document signature option. And we're using DocuSign for things like that right now. So it could potentially also eliminate DocuSign. And I think if all of those were bundled together, we would absolutely save money, yes.
Okay, and sorry, Mr. President, but I have one more question, because this is like my life. The parent drop-off and pickup is the only thing that I saw missing in all of the things that as a mom I would want to see. Is that in this system and it just wasn't on this piece of paper?
I do not believe it does the drop-off or pickup system. It was not part of our feedback of a requirement that we thought we needed at this time, but I will take note of that. I'll look at the functionalities of the application and see if that is a need and what does that look like. They can create tons of forms and things like that for people. So depending on what those systems look like, maybe there's a way we can integrate it into the platform, but I won't know more until I can get in and pilot and learn. But good feedback.
Thank you, Brittany. I just have to say, I'm so grateful that you're looking at this, because yeah, there's new things out there, and a lot of our teachers were taking on the burden with their own money and their own time to figure this out. So I'm grateful that you guys are coming up with the solutions. Plus, we'll have something universal. I'm just hoping the pilot goes great, and whenever you need or whatever help you need from me as a parent, I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jim.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for bringing this to us.
Of course.
I'm excited about it, particularly I remember the days when teachers and other people had to collect the money for lunch, and it was just an issue, and some kids didn't have any, and then we had, here's a peanut butter sandwich, and, there were problems. And so I thought that'd be good. One of the things, when I was listening to the video, I was thinking about, we have a lot of volunteers. Would they have access to this system?
It is a potential possibility. So with this app, you can create, I think, unlimited groups. So you could technically create a group for PTA, volunteers. So there is the possibility of it, but again, I want to pilot it before I feel comfortable with it. And then that would be, potentially giving non-district employees access to a district platform. And I just want to look into the legalities of that before we do it, but the potential is there, yes.
Mr. President, Brittany, I was more concerned about
receiving messages?
Receiving messages and like trolls and things like that, inappropriate content and slanderous, false statements from the parents to the teachers, that sort of thing. What sort of guardrails do we have up? You know,
Yes, we are
look
going to
at that?
work on a best practices. Monica Allred is working on that as well. Unfortunately, we deal with that currently in our platforms. So I do think a lot of times it's having conversations with parents about our language and how we respect each other, potentially deleting messages if it has inaccurate information, things like that. So I think there are some workarounds, but I don't see a situation where we would have outside entities necessarily getting all those messages. This is truly for our parents. And that's what I want to bring this forward for, is for our parents. But if they act inappropriately or use inappropriate language, I definitely want to have some things in place so that we can eliminate that. Unfortunately, we already deal with that and handle it as best we can.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Monica.
I just want to say thank you. This, I love that it's tied with synergy. So on the teacher's end, that they don't have to have multiple things, and a parent can see their kids' grades or what, if they came to school or not. So I think I'm excited to come back in June because I'm going to come and see the update. I'm just kidding. Maybe
I'll get cookies.
But I'm curious to hear Charlotte's thoughts because it sounds like Tempe Union's already implemented it.
Thank you.
To that end, Charlotte.
You should have seen the lights up here. It was Allison and I jumping in first, and I'm like, yeah, of course the moms are like, push the button. First of all, I wanted to know, is this your officially first formal presentation?
Yes, not nervous at all. I was telling Mr. Thompson.
I like that. I was actually going to say I wouldn't mind taking a class on presentations from you. You did a great job.
Amazing. Do you like my little notebook?
I wanted to first say, I love that we're considering, sorry, my brain all of a sudden got excited about Brittany presenting for the first time and I have to switch gears.
Appreciate you greatly. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. That we are concerned about parents downloading apps because we often forget that people have data limits and that becomes restrictive. As a mother who has juggled up to 7 platforms for my children while they were all in Tempe Elementary, I am thrilled. And I'm especially thrilled that this platform does not have any little characters that my kid's gonna want me to buy. Thank you for that. I love that it has translation services, and if I remember correctly, it's over 100 languages.
I think it's around 130 on this.
Okay, which helps us with Title VI compliance, so thank you for that. I would strongly recommend we abandon Blackboard in favor of having this all streamlined individually, collectively. If I remember correctly, this is one of the few communication platforms that also adapts to mobile phone format.
It does, yes. And you do not have to, I think I already mentioned, you do not have to download the app, but we also don't need parents to opt in because it's going to be connected to our student information system. They're automatically enrolled. And then another thing that you just reminded me of that I think is really good is if parents from the school side, and this is why we're working on best practices so that the schools kind of know like how much is too much communication and how much is not enough. But if a school's like constantly sending messages and then they disenroll from like the text option, but we have a crisis and I need you to get a text message, it will override that and make sure everyone gets the message. So I think that could be beneficial to our families as well.
Yeah, so just working in high school, is there any possibility that kids could get onto this and block the messaging?
Only if we give them access. There is, in full transparency, this platform could be used for staff to parent communication. It is not to utilize that at all. I truly just want this to be for parents and guardians.
Yeah. I noticed on the video 2 things. Permission slips can be signed on this?
Yes, that's where forms and secure signature documents, that's really what set this application apart from the others, was it has that capability. The others do not. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Could, also I saw that donations, can we do tax credit through this?
Potentially. That's why I said I think we could maybe utilize that. It would increase the cost to about $6 a student, where right now we're quoted at $4.50. I'm going to be honest, even if we do that, I still think we could save money because our schools are spending their own right now on their platforms, plus our district comms platforms, and potentially that DocuSign. But yes, I would, and like I said, I would talk to Mr. Thompson about that and just making sure that we feel comfortable with that platform and that it's secure before we did it, but the potential is there.
Okay, and yes, Ms. Trejo, I have utilized this as a parent. So I wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, I'm very excited that I could possibly be utilizing one platform for all 3 children, especially having 3 children at 3 different schools. Yeah. It's nice to have it all in one spot. The 2-in-1 is great, but if I could get 3-in-1, even better. I also like that you can access, not Synergy, what's it called? Parent View.
Parent View. We
Parent
can
View.
link to it in the platform.
And it's laid out similar to our website where it's like a quick connect, which I love.
Correct.
I don't have to find it. It's just
Yes.
right there, like finding the right button on your Wells Fargo page. Also love that the newsletters are on the side and not front and center, so that you see the most important information in the front and you don't get lost in the dialogue of the newsletter. One thing that I do believe is a misstep in the current area that I'm utilizing it is that I notice there's a lot more features that are not utilized. Is that because we roll out certain features as we get more comfortable with it instead of bombarding?
I'm going to guess that it's...
And I'm not asking you to comment on their operations. I'm saying, is this something to consider that we would roll out certain features? That's how I should have phrased it.
We could. I think with the pilot, I kind of want to try all of it with the exception of the monetary part of it. It's my understanding that like the super users, they can turn on and off different features. So my assumption is whoever your super user is right now has turned off certain functions and they're not utilizing those at that time. And some of the functions, there's 2, the DocuSign, the signature, and that payment system, those are an additional cost. So if they didn't pay for that package, then you wouldn't have that at all. But with our pilot, they are going to include that document signing package because that was one that I think that we could really utilize in our system. And so they will allow us to pilot that in our pilot. So my assumption is they're turned off.
Okay, I think my goal in life is to have the title super user. And then the last thing I have to say is on the video, on the right-hand side, it showed attendance, like green circles.
Yes, it'll
That's
track.
super cool.
It'll help track. So once we learn a little bit more, I can get with Ms. Denton and kind of figure out, what does that look with the other program that we're currently using? Yeah, because she's doing really good work with Everyday Labs. And so I just want to make sure that we're not, double dipping, but that we're working in tandem and that it's all
No, I think
in sync.
that the way I saw it, it looks like it would be a nice regular reminder, and then we have the nudges coming in, which I am a little bit shamed by them, but I understand why they come. I appreciate it in the long run. So fabulous. Thank you for
Cool.
bringing this forward.
Thank you for your feedback.
I just had the one question, and if you had already mentioned it, I apologize for missing it, but which 3 schools? Have we decided which 3 schools?
I don't want to publicly say it because I don't know if the staff members know. Oh gosh, Dr. Driscoll, what do I do? But we can do up to 3, but 2 principals reached out and said that they're interested. 1 elementary, 1 middle, but I don't know if their staff know yet, and I don't want them to freak out. Okay. But I can chat with you offline if you'd like.
I can't force you to do anything.
Okay.
So.
I don't want anyone to watch this and be like, now I have to do something new and the whole change thing. And so I really don't want to cause anxiety to anyone. But we definitely have some leaders in our system that are excited for this. And when I say they yearn for it, they're not necessarily yearning for a particular app. They just want something that they can utilize because of the policy and the laws that have changed regarding communication to parents. A lot of our schools right now too are just using email. And that's not always efficient for our families. And so they really just want a platform that they can use to communicate. And I'd be happy to chat with you about the schools.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
I think I was also.
Thank you, Governing Board.
Yep. Hope is with this pilot, it brings it all together for one thing. So thank you.
I'd be happy to come back in June and give you an update. Thanks.
With that, we need a motion.
Great job, Brittany. And with that, I will make a motion to approve the agreement with Parent Square for two-way communication as recommended.
Second.
I have a motion by, whoa, I have a motion by Monica, seconded by Charlotte. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Now we can clap, yes.
7:02, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the governing board to give Superintendent Dr. James Driscoll direction as to next steps for future planning and potential boundary implications for the K-8 Aspire Gifted Programming at Arredondo Elementary School. Dr. Driscoll?
Thank you again. All right, so if it would, for time, I would like to just go over the presentation and I cover all the three items that you have for discussion items. And so then when you go to that part, we can talk about it, but so I don't do three different presentations.
I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So again, as always, looking at our strategic plan goal number 3, and really identifying and reducing barriers to prevent families from attending Tempe Elementary schools and strengthening specialized programs and school options. This clicker is it's wanting to go fast today. Now it's going slow. All right, try it again. All right, there we go. On November 8th, the voters approved a $196 million bond. Also on November 1st, 2023, demographer Rick Brammer came from Applied Economics and presented to the governing board. And I always like to say this, we are a declining district, and we have been declining for at least 10 plus years. And so we have to look at what options we're giving to our community for them to choose TD3. And so in his presentation, he talked about a capture rate, and basically what that simply means is how many students are in our current boundaries that choose TD3 schools. And we have 68%, which is good, but that means 32% are not choosing to go to our schools that live in our boundaries. And so we have to look at that and say, why are parents not going to our schools? What options they're doing? There are charter schools, there are private schools, but there are choices. And so how we respond to choice and how we give that for our families will dictate whether our enrollment keeps declining or whether we stable up. This clicker is being really finicky. See it? There. I might have to go down there and just do that because this is being, all right. Is it because there's two clickers up here? Let me see if this works better. All right, this one works better. I'll use this one. All right. On December 6, 2023, the governing board approved to direct the superintendent to take next steps. One was revisit boundaries, which we completed last year. The next 3 was explore early childhood options, build a more robust gifted program and explore specialized options, and then address middle school and career explorations. On June 12th of this year, I gave a presentation about a phased approach to accomplish those goals set forth in December of 23. In November of this year, me and Ms. Nazabam gave a presentation to provide recommendations to the board about exploring early childhood center, building a more robust gifted program, and exploring other specialized options for schools, and address middle schools, including career exploration. At our last board meeting, the governing board gave me direction as the next steps for future planning and potential boundary implications for K-8 Aspire gifted programming, early childhood programming, middle school career exploration as follows. And tonight, that's what I will be giving you as the boundary side of that. What are the boundary implications if you guys were to choose to go forward and pursue these more? All of this comes into light with policy JC. And so whenever we talk about school attendance areas, there is a policy that we have to follow and laws. And so even with whatever direction you give me tonight, we will have to refer back to JC, and later in the presentation, I will talk about policy JC and what it requires us to do whenever we're talking about school attendance areas. This is our current map of our elementary school boundaries. And so color-coded, you see all our elementary schools. This is the current map of our middle school boundaries. And so you see we have our schools located with Fees, Connolly, and Mosley being our comprehensive. Shamley being a K-8, McCamey being a 6-7-8, and Ward being a K-8 as well. So for possible boundaries, at our last meeting, you talked about Arredondo and looking at that further. And so the next slide shows Arredondo's current attendance zone. And I like to pull, and I want to touch this, but I don't think it's going to do it. So I'm scared to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But if you look at Aguilar, there's in Arredondo's boundaries, there's a sliver that is not great. That's actually Aguilar school boundaries. And so what we're proposing for you guys is that for Arredondo, if we were to move the students from their boundary and change, we would have some of the students go to Aguilar and some of the students go to Fuller. And in this next slide, I actually made it more clear so you can see it. And if I did this right, I believe rural road would be kind of like the dividing line. And so students that live in Arredondo's boundaries that are east or west of rural would go to Aguilar. Students that are east of rural would go to Fuller. And we believe we have capacity in those schools that if you guys were to say that all the students would be able to fit there. And again, as I said, for teachers, we believe that we can, all our teachers at Arredondo in our schools, that they wouldn't be impacted. Location, yes, but they would have jobs in TD3 because we have room and ability to fill all those positions. The second one that you brought up, early childhood programming boundary recommendations, the board asked us to look at Carminati. And so this is on the map, the current boundary for Carminati. I like to call Carminati proper and then the other part of Carminati because there's the area right around Carminati that students go to. And I want to say in that, is it like 14, 20? There's 20 students in Carminati proper that actually go to Carminati. And then if you see the other students in there, so in the next map, what we would propose is that some students would go to Holdeman and other students would go to Spricali. And I think, if we did this right, here there's a railroad. If you've been over by that Fry's, and I think there's a Red Devil pizza place. There's a railroad track right there, and I don't like to say that name. There's a road there that goes there as well. So that would kind of be the dividing line. So students that are in Carminati's boundaries that are to the west of the west of the railroad tracks would go to Holdeman, and students to the east of the railroad tracks would go to Spricali. And then for our career exploration boundary recommendations, the board asked us to look at the boundaries for fees. And so fees has a bigger geographic map in our district. I call it the southern part of our district. So if we were to look at that and splitting students from fees, we would look at students going to Mosley and then students going to Connolly. And so here, again, we would divide the students. So east, anything west of Hardy, and then there's some students up in the top part that already go to Mosley. We would keep them there, so we wouldn't want to disrupt their learning. They would stay there, but really anything west of Hardy would go to Mosley. Anything east of Hardy would go to Connolly. And so then the next steps. If you guys decide this, what would happen is policy JC kind of outlines what we would have to do. And so for the parents in the audience, parents and guardians of students and residents of households affected by attendance boundaries, we would have to notify. We would have to have a minimum of 10 days prior to a public meeting. So per our policy, we have to notify every parent in the attendance zone. That's even parents who do not attend Arredondo or Fees or Carminati. We have to notify all of them. And then we have to have a public meeting. When we did this last time with boundary, we held the public meetings at the actual schools, and that would be kind of my recommendation that we would do is hold them there so that the community can come there. But we would have to have 10 days of notification before we could even have the public hearing. The notice would include the time, place, date, and call public input. And then we would have to display the maps of, just like we did here, of how their attendance zones could be impacted by the decision if the board at a later date makes a decision to change boundaries. We also have to send postcards out to zip codes plus 4 digits for all affected postal residents located in attendance areas subject to change. We have to send written notification to parents and guardians affected, which they have a whole list. They talk about lunch menus, special communication, newsletters, or any reasonable mean to get sufficient notice. So again, we have to give notice to the parents in all the affected areas. We also have to broadcast this in print and media announcements, and then we have to post notice of schools and places that permit notice posting. So we would do it in district office, at schools in that area, and then we have to have all this information there, and then we have to actually have a public meeting. And at that public meeting, anybody from the public could weigh in on the proposed change, and then we would bring all that information back to you at a later board meeting for you to have all of that information, so that if you made a decision, at that point, you would make a decision on boundaries. We also would have on our website the display of the maps so that the parents can see this is the proposed area. And what we did last time, and we would do again, is we would give parents the option to email the district if they couldn't make a public meeting, so you would have that input. So before you made any decision, all that input would be there for you. So with that, I will open up to questions.
Allison.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first, if you don't mind, being a parent in the district, I just kind of want to go back to basics really quick on this. Number one, the reason that this board put pressure on you to reimagine how we have our schools set up is because the good thing for us is that we have a high demand in our programs that our parents like. And we need to find a way to help them with early childhood care and development. And we also, as Ms. Windsor had said before, having raised kids that are older than mine, going through the system, we don't want a kid to have to pick and choose what school they're going to based upon the specials that they like. So our goal is to not have to have that be the deciding factor for kids. Like if they really love the culinary program at Connolly, but they end up being placed in another school, we're working on trying to find a way for them to continue to have that culinary program, or the mariachi program, the music programs. This board is very focused on arts. So with that said, one, we have a PACE program. The PACE program is currently in the schools, and is it true that there's no plan to get rid of the PACE program?
That is correct.
And then we have the Aspire program, which we have been continually making more available. Now we have 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th over this term that Mrs. Trejo has been in. We've been able to build that because we had the parent demand. And then we already had it at 7th and 8th, and we still fill up within 20 minutes. So we like the Aspire program. Is the Aspire program ending?
No.
Is the Aspire program, are we trying to make it available to more parents?
Yes, and actually
And families.
make it available for students pre-K through 8th grade, having that option.
With that said, if their student is currently at one of the programs, will they be grandfathered in to finish that program with their friends in the environment that they're in to their graduation?
So I say yes, but if the students are in Aspire 6, 7, 8 at Connolly, we're also in the process of rebuilding. And so I say yes, but depending on rebuilding, we've done it 2 different ways. And so one way with Mosley Middle School, students stayed on the physical campus and we built on another part of the campus. And then once that campus got built, we tore down the campus and we moved students there. We've done it that way. But also in the district with Shamley, we moved students from Shamley to what is now Meyer. And we completely tore down completely tore down Shamley while the students were at Meyer, and then they went back there. So we've done it both ways. With construction, our goal would be to minimize disruption of the educational process as much as possible. So if we could keep it in a way that we say, hey, all the students stay at Connolly and do that, that would be our recommendation to the board. But we also, on that same plot of land, have Curry, which is also scheduled to be rebuilt. And so that option with Mosley, where we said, hey, go to this other piece of land and do that, there's some constraints because we don't have as much land. And the Connolly property, which I didn't know, is more like a bow tie. And so there are parts of the land that we do not own. And so it makes it to reconfigure where you would place the new building. So yes, it would be our goal that if you're currently a student at Aspire 6, 7, 8, that you, if in your 8th graders, they don't have to worry about it because there's no building of Connolly will be impacted this year. So our current 6th, 7th graders, they would stay with all of Connolly where they're at for the duration of builds. Some of these builds go longer. So like for me to sit here and tell you like, yes, they can be there, it might take 2 years to build Connolly. It might take 3, it might take 12 months. We're pushing for 12 months because I want kids to be at the school as soon as possible. But we also haven't talked about the phasing of this potential gifted expansion. So we currently, before we expanded to grades 3, 4, and 5, we had Aspire 6, 7, 8 at Connolly. And it's in a separate, I would call, portable, modular type unit. And then we opened at Arredondo a 4th grade section, self-contained. And then the next year we rolled up and opened up a 5th grade section. And then this year we opened up a 3rd grade section. And so part of what we would have to decide is, depending on what the board decides, if the board says, yes, we want to go further and do this, we might come to the board and say, hey, let's keep 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Connolly. And then phase 2nd grade. And then that group of 2nd graders would be the first group of kids that would possibly be at Arredondo 6, 7, 8. That is one option. It might be, board, here's another option. And you guys would make that kind of determination of what we would do, but that would also come from talking to our community because we value their input. And for a lot of our parents, they're like, no, I want my kid to be on a middle school campus. Well, yes. Another thing I've heard, and I just want to make sure we're clear, is it is our goal that if you choose to go to any one of our comprehensive campuses and your student is gifted, that they get the same level of service there. So you do not have to make this choice of, my kid's gifted, I want to be on a comprehensive middle school, and that they lose it. They would get their services. And what I explained to a father is I said, at the middle school, we do periods. And so if your kid is currently at Aspire at Connolly, they have periods. They have first period, second period, third period, and in one of those periods, they have electives, unless I'm wrong. And there's probably some parents here to tell me. But if your student says, if you say, hey, I want to go to comprehensive middle school, and your student's gifted, we would give them service. Say that's period 1. They would still have period 1 with the requirement of you have to have a prerequisite of being gifted to be in that classroom and still do that and have access to the electives. Now, our goal with the middle school career exploration is, and this has been my push, is if you're currently at Connolly, you have culinary. The district is, and I would tell you a year or two ago when we revamped the culinary, it was not in good shape, and we bought equipment to have culinary back at Connolly. But if you're at Mosley, you do not have the option of culinary because they do not offer it there. If you're at Shanley, you do not have the option of culinary because we do not offer it there. If you're at McCamey, you do not have the option of culinary. But with our middle school career explorations, we could build a culinary there. And so if you're at any one of our middle schools and you choose that you want culinary, we would be able to bus you there and you can get culinary. So you don't lose by being in a zip code. Every student in our district would have access to some of these electives. So that's the cool thing about the third item, is it's our game changer for our students, because some of our electives we could have that every kid could get that you just can't build at every campus. But also at your campus, you still would have those elective offerings. So at Connolly, they still will have culinary. So if a student says, I don't want to go to middle school career explorations, I just want to stay at Connolly. Well, guess what? They will have culinary there as well. So you're not losing. It's really for our parents to give them choices. And so every parent is different. And I use the example of my own kids. My oldest daughter, she is gifted. And in the district we live in, there's a gifted academy. And for her, the best decision for us was for her to go to that gifted academy. My other daughter, who is 2 years younger, did not qualify for gifted. And so she went to what we would call a neighborhood school where my wife works. And we drove our kids to 2 different schools. For some families, they will do that because that's what they want to do. For other families, they would say, no, I don't want to split my kids up. I want my kid to get their gifted service at their neighborhood school. That is what PACE would do. And so the self-contained setting is really like, do I want my kid to have gifted services all day? We would have that option for you. And in PACE, you would have that option to get gifted services as well, but it'd be at your neighborhood school. So you're not, as a parent, you still have the choice, but you have the choice. It's not the district limiting your options, because for your student, you might want to be in a self-contained gifted because they would flourish in that environment. You deserve to have that option. Every family in Tempe deserves to have that option to be able to make that choice. And that's what we're trying to create. So we're not trying to eliminate any options for our families. We're trying to create more options so that they can make those choices, what's best for their families.
I'd like to give you, thank you, Mr. President, I have a couple more things. I'd like to give you a definition of what I define a done deal as. So a done deal means that we have decided this is how it's going to be, this is where it's going to be, and this is what we're going to do. My definition for the board right now and with Dr. Driscoll in the school is that this is not a done deal. And with that said, there are many steps that we will need and want the community to be a part of in order to help direct. What we're currently doing is looking at the options and narrowing it down to what fiscally responsible decisions look like, what equitable decisions look like, and what expansive reimagined options look like. Am I correct in this is not a done deal and we still have a lot of steps to go where the community, parents, children, and teachers will be involved in it?
Yes, all the board is doing is giving me direction. We have policies in place that require parents to have input. And because we're not, now I wish we were in a phase where we could buy land and build all these great schools, but we're not. So we're having to use our existing resources. And because there are students in those, the public has to have input. It's required per policy, and it's actually, I think, state statute that requires that as well. So all our families will have the chance, even if you're not in those attendance zones, to be able to voice your opinion, and that then the board would get all that information before they would take any vote to act on any of these recommendations. Sorry, Ms. Trejo, that won't be you. But the board would have all that information to be able to weigh in before they have to make a decision. And that decision could be, we don't want to move forward. That decision could be, we want to move forward. But it will be the decision of the board having all the information at their disposal to be able to make those decisions.
Lastly, I have one more thing to clear up, is in regards to Evans, there's been some confusion that we are currently leasing our space to another party and that it's a revenue generating stream for us. One, I understand that we're not making multi-millions off of it, but two, the importance and the confidentiality around the program that's there. I'm going to sound like somebody who just ran for vice president. It's nobody's business, but it is. These kids that are in this program that we're leasing the property to a third party to take care of are kids of ours, from what I understand, that need the highest level of attention, guidance, and help. And we chose to bring this program in to help those community children that were at need with this in order to create an environment for them to thrive. And it wasn't something that we chose to do because it was a money-making entity. It was a necessity for some families that are in our district that need it. Is that correct?
I wasn't here when they made that decision, but yes, so Evans, we have properties. We have 2 properties currently that do not have students. One of them is at Bustos, where we have employees for our teaching and learning department that operate there, and we have district meetings and stuff like that. And then we have Evans, which we lease part of the Evans campus for a third party who services students from TD3. But we also have artists in residence who utilize space in Evans and then go to our schools and provide services to our students at Evans. We also have another party there, I can't remember their name, that does some work. And then we have, I think they call it Triple E, that also provides field trip experiences for TD3 students as well as other students in Maricopa County. And so we generate revenue from people who rent that space to provide those services, but some of the people renting that space to provide services that we generate revenue from, they're actually servicing our kids. And so it's actually a win-win, and we're utilizing a space that we have, a facility, and it's not sitting vacant or abandoned, and so students are being able to access that. Now, it is my goal to do so many great things in Tempe that we have so many kids that want to come to us, that I can eventually make Evans back to be a school where students from the neighborhood go. It is my goal that Bustos becomes a school where students go, but at this time, with our enrollment, we are declining and we don't. So we have to create options and choices. Not to mention that we have 631 students who choose not to go to our district and go to a district to the south. And so our parents are speaking. And how we react, and that's where I just go back to Rick Brammer's thing, how we react to providing our families with choice will determine whether our district continues to decline or whether our district stabilizes, and in my opinion, whether our district gains even more students. Because if we do it really well, parents, I'm a parent of a 9 and 7-year-old, I would bring my kids here. Mm-hmm. We have people in this audience who do not live in our boundaries, who kids come to our schools. And so when we do it really well, and we are, and we will continue to do it, there will be people who do not live in our boundaries who would choose to come to us. And there will be people, that 32% who are choosing not to come to us, that will come to us because they believe in the public education and the offerings that we're providing for our students. So that is my 2 cents.
And lastly, I don't have legal counsel here, but Mr. Miller, maybe you, President Miller, you can confirm this, that we as a board listen to all the feedback that we get via email, via everywhere. And when you are not answered back, it's due to open meeting law. It's something that we have had to pledge to. And it's a smart thing. If you were ever here, you wouldn't want people miscommunicating things or saying something that might be construed in a different way. And so I do need to make it, I need to make the community aware that every single email, every single message is heard by me. I can't speak for others, but this is a strong board, so we all do that. And that nothing is ignored. And the reasons why you are not answered is because we are not that we're, I don't want to say we're not able to, but this is the platform that we do that in. And so I want to respect everybody who has allowed us to do this in this public platform so that one person isn't getting information and others are not. But just know that it's not negligence on the board, of the board, for not communicating back to you on that. But know that I have read everything, hence I'm hoping that some of my questions, which were also my concerns, and how grateful I am that we have engaged parents who love their kids, who are loving some of our programs, and who want more of them. I actually don't see this as something that's bothersome. I see this as something that's that's fantastic, and I know that change is scary and trying new things. But with that said, what we are going to be approving today is for you to continue to move forward in the next steps using these 3 areas and boundaries, but it is not a done deal. Is that correct?
Yes, all you would be approving today was to start the process to have the community get more community involvement and input to you guys for you to make a future decision.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. Thank you, Mr. President.
Jim.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a couple questions. What's the time frame to implement or the phasing in of several different of these programs at the 3 sites?
The timeframe is really dictated by the governing board in that because there's boundaries in place. First, you would have to give me permission to actually go out and solicit public comment and do all that as in policy JC. Then depending on that and how long of a process that is, because like I said before, we have to at minimum give 10 days before we can even hold a public meeting. So I would say realistically, if tonight you said, yes, go for it with that, we wouldn't even start this process to January. So then you go into January, we have our first board meeting, I think the first week of January, I think the 8th. Mike, is Wednesday the 8th? Okay, the 8th. And so we probably wouldn't do it at that meeting because we have new board members getting sworn in and we would like them to get acclimated too. So at the earliest possible would be the end of January, which then means to have public meetings. That means the first meeting in February would be the earliest that it would even come back to you guys to even consider at the earliest. And then that just goes to domino because we have staff. And so depending on when that timeline happens, and we might find out like, no, there's a better date for more community to come, and so it pushes back, that will push back to when we say timeline reference. So for some of these, it might not even happen until the 26th is kind of scary, 26, 27 school year, because it's just the timeline. For others, it might be yes, but we'll give you options to say, if you do this, this is what we can do realistically, because we have to notify staff and do all that and parents and have those communications. But for some of them, like option 3 with being fees, I'm just going to tell you realistically with that amount of students and that it would not go into fruition to the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. And Mr. President, I guess my other question really is the funding. As we change how we program these facilities and where we're doing these things, what does that do with our budgetary situation until we get more kids?
So if we keep losing kids, it has a dire need to our budget. And for the last 10 plus years, we've been losing kids. And so that doesn't, whenever you lose kids in public education, that does never help your budget as a hindrance. In terms of funding, so for gifted students, and this is a misnomer out there, we get funding on students, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, or Cindy, the 97th percentile. The state gives us funding for students who qualify for gifted in the 97th percentile, we get funding. I believe last year, the total amount of funding was like $25,000 total. For all students. All students that got gifted education in our district from the state, and additional funding was $25,000. Now, when we did, and Ms. Hannah's here, we talked about gifted teachers. Our community has supported overrides, and so we provide teachers through overrides, and gifted teachers are one of those groups in our pamphlets that we talked about. We actually service kids in the 94th percentile. So we get funding in the 97th percentile, but in Tempe, the 94th percentile students that qualify there get gifted education. So from a funding mechanism, I would say every kid we lose hurts us. And so to have more options, and we did some numbers, we had, I think like 30%, so like of students that qualify for gifted in 5th grade left us and didn't go to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so all those students we left, that was funding that we were losing. So even with Aspire 6, 7, 8 at Connolly, we had students that were 5th grade students who had the opportunity to go to 6th grade that chose not to go there and chose not to go in our district. And so from a funding, and it's not about funding, it's really about options for our students. I believe creating more choices for our students and our families that are beneficial for them and their unique needs will only help us, because we will capture or keep more of our students. And that won't hurt our funding, that would actually help our funding. But if we continue how we're going, and I can present to you guys at the next board meeting, I can show you that data, but we're losing kids from 5th to 6th grade, and that's across the board. But in our gifted, we're losing a ton as well, so.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. Mr. President, I guess, I spent most of today at a school board conference for elected school board members, and they were focusing on more conservative school board members, and I was invited. And it was interesting because the whole day was about losing students and demographics, and then what are we going to do? And one of the examples, I think it was Madison School District, that has about 60% of their students are from out of district. They went ahead and did school-wide gifted programs, same sort of things that we were talking about here. And because that's what the parents needed, and that's how they survived from that standpoint. So I think this is right in line with right where we're talking about doing. And many of the rural school districts go out and I wouldn't say they pirate the students, but we have a district to the south of us that sends buses another 30 miles down the road to get kids. And there's folks in the district adjacent to us that walk to our schools, or their parents bring them to the schools. Others, school districts drive their buses there to pick up those kids. And, I think it's about choice and what the parents need. We're not forcing you to do this. It's to provide different options. And, having served on this board when we closed schools, and everybody spent a lot of time saying, I don't want to close my school, or I don't want to change who's going to be my boss in teaching. And we spent a lot of effort on that. But every one of those schools that we closed, we've repurposed, and we're using them for educational purposes. We didn't just shutter them or lease them out. And so I think this is a smart thing to do from a conservative standpoint if we're going to survive in public education and help kids. Doesn't matter whether they're up in Scottsdale or down in Chandler or over in Phoenix. They're kids that need to be educated. I want these kids to be educated. So we have some doctors, we have some nurses, we have some people know how to build things, because I'd like to retire someday and make sure that there's people here that are going to keep our community functioning. And I think this is our obligation as board members, is to help our parents, our community, and these children learn how to be successful in whatever career or college or whatever they choose to do. Because we know we spend half of our budget on education in this state. We spend another big percentage on healthcare or Medicaid. So we educate, medicate, and then we incarcerate. I'd much rather spend it all on education, very little on Medicaid, and nothing on incarceration, because we don't need to do that. But we have to make these choices. It's going to take time. And so, I'm in favor of doing this. But it's hard when you have a lot of students in middle school to change how you're going to program that. And particularly with, a career sort of focus and different operations, and that's why I asked the time frame in the phasing from that standpoint, because there's quite a few kids at that particular middle school. The thing we haven't talked about is the early childhood education, and the other part of that funding. We know with kindergarten, we get half-day funding, and yet our kids go full day. What about in this early childhood or preschool, this, whatever we're talking about, birth to kindergarten?
Yes, so in that, we do get funding in pre-K for students who receive specialized services. Then we, in our district, we offer choices. So we have a Montessori pre-K that parents paid for. We have Kinder Prep. We also have Tempe Pre, which is a free to low cost for Tempe residents with our partnership with the city of Tempe. And so, but the key thing about early childhood is literally getting students access to education. And so Ms. Windsor called it pedagogically sound. And so we would have to do that. But I think the more that we can help our community, especially our young families getting their students in, the more we can see them hitting those attainments, coming to kindergarten ready, which then leads them back to reading in 3rd grade and 4th grade. And so the Early Childhood Center, it serves two purposes for our community and for us. But it gives us that option to help families at an early age and get our kids the critical supports they need. Plus, for our students that receive specialized services, one of the things that we struggle with is giving them peers that do not receive. And so having a place where they all can commingle, it would eliminate some of that barriers for some of our families as well.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. Mr. President, thank you.
And I really want to drag out this meeting because the longer it goes, that means that Ms. Trejo stays with us. So I'm sorry for giving you guys in the audience a filibuster answer. Sorry.
Charlotte.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Dr. Driscoll, you stole my joke. Man, I was going to say that was the real purpose. Well, Ms. Ewers spoke of, the technicalities of all of these decisions, the different questions that we've been hearing and being emailed and called about. And Mr. Lemon spoke about the history that we've already gone through with this process and the need for us to pivot. And I'm going to talk about it as a parent because I'm the only one sitting up here whose kid is directly impacted by all of these 3 decisions. I have a middle schooler who's a 6th grader who will be displaced because of the Connolly rebuild, temporarily, one way or another. We don't know exactly what that plan is. He will possibly, if he chooses to be, impacted by the Aspire decision. If he chooses to go that route, our whole family will be impacted by the Carminati decision because it's our neighborhood school, and I was an alumni of Carminati. And back to my child, he could possibly benefit from the career exploration. So I am not taking these decisions lightly, and unlike everybody else sitting up here, I don't just get emails and phone calls. I get feedback from my 12-year-old who thinks he has better ideas than any of us. So we maybe should just call him. Anyways, I think that it is ignorant of us to think that we can continue doing business as usual and think that anything's gonna change. I think it is arrogant of us to think that if we keep doing business as usual, then people will just show up. And I don't care how great we are. People often think that just because there is a choice, that must be the better choice. And look at Cheesecake Menu, just to tell you that right now. All these choices, and everybody thinks that their choice is the best. But I think that we have to go the direction of making changes in order for us to have options for families because we have so many different students. Not that we didn't before in the 80s and 90s, we just didn't think about them as much. And we just kind of expected everybody to deal with what we had to offer. And so I have lots more I want to say, but I'm tired as well. So does anybody want to make a motion? I'm sorry, I'm not the president. Sorry.
I actually do have a couple of questions, and I'm sorry. Dr. Driscoll, could I ask you to back up your slides to the zoomed-in version of the Arredondo boundary change? So I was just curious, because we initially made boundary changes for the purposes of helping the busing situation, are these changes meant to keep that busing, clean, I suppose?
These changes were really looking at just kids and really the best interest of kids. Now, busing plays a part of it, but it really was for kids and looking at just the geographical location where those kids kind of sit. And so that's why in that previous slide, I pointed out that little gray area that's Aguilar and it separates. And so that's why when we were looking at possible places to go, it made sense that Aguilar would be for those students there. And then when we looked at we looked at the distance from Arredondo proper there and what would be a good school, close school. So we really looked at it from that point of where do we have capacity, which is the least amount of disruption for our families and students that we can actually hold and get the students in. But then looking at how far, I didn't want to bus a kid to Shamley from there because now I'm giving the kid a 30 to 40 minute bus ride. So the closest proximity to schools there as well. And so in both of those schools, we have capacity to absorb Arredondo into those two boundaries. And that's why we chose those two sites. And for some of the students, it might even be a little bit closer for them if you're on that, what I would call west end, going to Aguilar.
That was my only question. Thank you for that. At least for 702, I like to keep it on agenda specific. To that end, do I have a motion for this?
Can I make a motion to approve the governing board to give Superintendent Dr. Driscoll direction as the next steps for future planning of potential boundary implications for the K-8 Aspire Gifted Programming at Arredondo School as recommended?
I second that.
All right, I have a motion by Monica, seconded by Charlotte. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 703, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the governing board to give Superintendent Dr. James Driscoll direction as to next steps for the future planning and potential boundary implications for the early childhood programming at Carmody Elementary School. And Dr. Driscoll, if you could kind of move us to that one just so we can look at it as we're. Thank you. Allison.
I just want to make sure that those placements of those students, they still will have the choice to go to which one. They're not having to go to those schools because we offer choice for all of our schools, no matter their boundaries. It would just affect their potential for busing to them.
Yeah, so all our schools are open enrollment. And so any student within it and even not in our boundaries could choose to go to our schools. And we have to, by state statute, place on our website where we have openings at each school and students can apply for it. What this would do is it would just say their boundary, their homeschool boundary is here at Holdeman, here at Spercali. If the parent chooses to go somewhere else, they would have that option and they would have the information available on our website to be able to look at all our schools in our district and see where there's openings and choose that option as well. It's just this would be their new homeschool where we would say if busing and all that we would provide.
No further questions. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve for the governing board to give Superintendent Driscoll direction as next steps for future planning and potential boundary implications for the early childhood programming at Carminati School as recommended.
I just have one question. Do you need a clarification about what that direction is?
As recommended would be this.
Okay.
Yep.
Second.
I have a motion by Monica, seconded by Charlotte. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 704, discussion, consideration, possible approval for the governing board to give Superintendent Dr. James Driscoll direction as to next steps for future planning and potential boundary implications for the middle school career exploration programming at Fees College Preparatory Middle School. And thank you for moving us along there. Does anybody else have any further questions on this point? If not, we can have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, to give the governing board, to give Dr. Driscoll direction to the next steps for future planning and potential boundary implications for middle school career exploration at Fees College Preparatory Middle School as recommended.
Second.
A motion by Monica, seconded by Charlotte. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 801, open call to the public. We don't have any blue cards on this one. We used them all up earlier. So moving on to 901, reports from standing committees. Do you have one, Allison?
Okay, I'll make this really quick. One, please, if any of you who work in our district that are under our healthcare program go to see your doctor while you're on vacation, please, one, do, because that's what the benefit is for, is to keep you healthy and check on things. Two, please consider talking to your doctor about a generic of the drug that you're taking. Reason I say this is that we have spent $300,000 more on drugs this year than we did last time. And if you do the math, $300,000 more is going to affect the amount of benefits that we can give in the long run for the next teachers who are coming and for the next year. So if you could have that conversation and also consider mail-in pharmacy, that is how you can help. And if you can help there, I promise to do my job on that trust, to do everything I can to keep expanding your benefits, save your benefits, and keep a free program. Also, there is a 1-800 number that everyone can call if they need social emotional assistance. And your families who are, if they're not on the plan and they live at your home, and kids up to 20, Mr. Morghini, is it 28 or 26? 26. They are welcome to use that. Just put the phone number on your refrigerator. This is a hard time. And Dr. Driscoll, if I may ask if there's a way that we could talk to Sandra about getting that flyer out one more time, or that newsletter out one more time with that 1-800 number, that would be great, because I don't think my viewership on YouTube is big enough to have, I don't think we have 1,100 viewers, so that'd be great. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and there pharmaceutical drugs and the cost of your needs, your medical needs, is skyrocketing, and we all know that. So besides electing people outside of our control to help that and come up with reimagining healthcare, we have what we've got. So if everyone could help with those type of things, you're helping us, we're helping you. That would be awesome, and I wish everyone a very healthy year. Thank you.
Moving on to 902, student activity report for September 2024. No comments there. 903, student activity report for October 2024. I assume no comments there. 1001, board information. Does anyone have anything other than Monica? Oh, Allison.
Okay, so I'm going to speak really, really quickly. First of all, thank you to this board. We've had an awesome year. We've done a lot. I'm grateful for you all in my lives. I'm grateful for you in my child's life and our kids' lives, and it's been a pleasure serving with you. Second of all, everybody who had choir concerts, band concerts, holiday concerts, cute little kid things this week, your teachers did that, no pay. Your teachers did that because they love your kids. The teachers did that because they want their parents to be able to see their kids and love their kids doing that. So kudos to the custodians who stayed late to take care of all of that, to the teachers who performed them, to the volunteers that helped make it happen, to the PTAs that did that. Thank you so much for spreading holiday cheer. Second thing is that I want everyone to have a very, very awesome holiday season. Take care of yourselves. Please be safe. Talk to your kids about fentanyl. If you need more information, you're welcome to send the district. We have plenty of information that we can send. We have services that we can offer, and it's a serious deal because I just talked to my friend who's a pediatrician who said that they're anticipating quite a few, sadly, child overdoses over this holiday because kids get this and think, oh, it'll make me sleep, or oh, it'll make me feel good, and it's just it's a Skittle, and it's just $1, and they're getting this online. So please do not think that it's not my kid. It's affecting everyone. So please talk to your kids about that. Keep everyone safe, and thank you to the community for trusting me for another year in trying to make decisions that benefit us all. And Monica, the Love Fest was totally worth it, and we'd give you more if we could, but we're tired. Love you.
Understood, but I just want to once again say thank you to you all, and those who are still here. Thank you. We'll put in the good fight. We are about an hour later than usual, but thank you to our staff because this is what they do all the time. They always work harder and dedicating, and to our community members who help make it possible. Thank you, Allison. Never lose your passion and dedication for our kids because you're what helped keep pushing us forward. Jim was my mentor, and we couldn't be more opposite, but he was my mentor. He was the one who took me under his wing, and for that I'll be eternally grateful. And
This way.
yeah, that one.
My left side, not my right.
And to see Eric grow into his leadership has been amazing, and so thank you, Eric, for stepping up and leading us. And for Charlotte, your unwavering wisdom and guidance for all things, just the most thoughtful person you can imagine, thinking through everything. So I'm so lucky to have all of you guys, and by being led by our innovative, forward-thinking leader who never just accepts things as they are and just tries to always push us to the boundaries that we set and didn't think were possible. So appreciate that. And Heather for always keeping it together here, and our whole staff. I am eternally grateful for all of you, and know that we really appreciate what you do. You make it all possible for all of the kids and families here, and to our community who clearly is invested enough to show up and support us in other ways. Also, thank you for your commitment. So with that, I will have my last remark.
(11:01) announcements, upcoming events. Winter break will begin December 23rd, 2024. School will resume Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. The next regularly scheduled governing board meeting will take place on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here, the Karen Arredondo Governing Board Room. All schools and district offices will be closed in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday, January 20th, 2025. The Tempe Elementary District Spelling Bee is Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 at 9 a.m. here at the Karen Arredondo Governing Board Room. The Tempe Elementary Love Your Heart 5K, sponsored by TEEA, will be held Saturday, February 15th, 2025 at 8 a.m. at Kiwanis Park. 12:01, meeting adjournment.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a meeting. Can't even do it. Sorry. I'm going to keep you guys here another hour, so just kidding. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
A motion by Monica, seconded by Charlotte. All those in favor say aye.
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 It's hard. Aye.
We are adjourned.